UFC Tampa Colby Covington versus Joaquin Buckley just ended, and this is going to be my main event post-fight recap. Joaquin Buckley wins via third round TKO due to a doctor stoppage because a cut on the eyelid of Colby Covington. So Joaquin Buckley gets it done via TKO, third round TKO. Who could have predicted that? But let's be real, was it really a win? Because Colby Covington broke his pinky toe in the first 30 seconds of this fight. He came in with a sprained ankle. He was on his period. He took it on short notice. And on top of that, the referee was a corrupt liberal. The doctor who stopped the fight was a corrupt liberal. The judges who were judging the fight was a corrupt liberal. And apparently the entire crowd was corrupt liberals as well because they were chanting Colby sucks in the very first round. But let's be serious, okay? I know there's going to be a litany of excuses from Colby Covington when he finally decides to speak out. It looked like he might retire in the cage afterwards, but I guess he decided against it. Joaquin Buckley beat the brakes off of Colby Covington. He beat Colby Covington like he owed him money. And I think the narrative coming out of this fight is actually going to be unfair to Joaquin Buckley because I think a lot of people are going to say Colby's washed. Colby's not as good as he once was. You know, he's washed up, he's slow, he's old. And while I do believe Colby has diminished since his prime, I don't think the drop-off is as steep as a lot of people make it out to be. Apparently, Dana doesn't even think it's happened. He still thinks Colby's the elite of the elite, which is absolutely crazy. That Dana praised Colby more in the post-fight than he praised Bilal after winning the title, but that's a topic for another video. Colby got destroyed in this fight, and I think Colby, even in his prime, would have got absolutely destroyed in this fight because Colby's entire career has been riding the coattails off of losing title fights to Kamaru Usman. That's his entire career. That's his greatest accomplishment. But before we get into all that, let's go through the actual fight round by round. It's 3 rounds. Basically, the entirety of the 3 rounds. It got stopped last like 20 seconds of the third round. First round, Buckley stuffing takedowns, sprawling on Colby's head, landing good shots, busting him up to the body. On one of the failed takedown attempts from Colby Covington, Buckley lands this like a little short uppercut that cuts Colby above the eyelid. And that ends up troubling him for the entire fight. He's pawing at it. There's blood's trickling down in his eye. But Buckley's just waxing him on the feet, ripping to the body, ripping upstairs, walking him down. Colby's exploding with these kind of crappy combinations that he's looking to close the distance to get a takedown, kind of crashing into Buckley. Never really came close to it in the first round. Second round, very similar. Buckley's just absolutely destroying him on the feet, just smoking him to the body. And Colby eventually, I think about 2 minutes into the second round, gets a takedown. He actually gets a takedown. He fights hard for it. And then he's inside control, does nothing with it. Then he's back in the half guard, does nothing with it. And then eventually Joaquin Buckley scrambles back to the feet and starts beating Colby up even more, smashing him to the body, landing upstairs. The cut's getting worse. He's bleeding more. And then I think there's maybe 1 or 2 more failed takedowns from Colby. I think even at one point in the second round as well, this happened in the third round a couple times. But Colby would shoot in on like a weak beta male soy boy takedown. And then instead of trying to reset and back up and stand, he would just go to his back. And I think in the second round, Buckley was like in half guard, landed some ground and pound. I think that happened in the second round as well. But Colby never even got close for the rest of the round after he got that one takedown. He never got close again. He did no damage with it in the second round. So then the third round, going into the third round, cut's already bad. He's bleeding pretty bad. The doctor warns, that corrupt liberal doctor warns Big Dan, the referee, as well as Colby, look, if it gets any worse, I'm going to stop it. Third round. Colby's getting beat up. He's getting destroyed. He's shooting in on beta male takedown attempts. There were some double legs that had Tim Welch scratching his head, had no idea that it was even coming. And eventually, Buckley's stuffing a takedown. He stuffs it, and then he just starts, and he would stuff it and then close the distance. Like, he wouldn't even try to stuff it and disengage. He would stuff the takedown, sprawl on Colby's head, and then immediately just start smashing Colby. There was one time in the third round where he stuffed the takedown. Colby's up against the fence. He closed the distance immediately after he stuffed it, starts smashing him up against the fence. But eventually, in one of the scrambles, Buckley ends up looking to set up an inverted triangle, kind of trying to take the back of Colby. Colby reverses it, ends up on top, and does absolutely no damage at all. Then Buckley eventually scrambles back to his feet. Big Dan says, stop, time, has the doctor come in. The doctor doesn't even want to really look at it. She said, oh no, it's bad, I'm stopping it. Honestly, I don't think it needed to be stopped right then and there. I think it was on the verge, getting close to being stopped, needing to be stopped. But honestly, it seemed like Colby was more than, Colby wanted her to stop the fight. He wanted this out. He wanted this excuse. There's no doubt. Next interview he does, he's going to be complaining. Yeah, The doctor got me. I wanted to keep going. I was winning some of those wrestling exchanges, even though he did no damage in the wrestling at all. No ground and pound, really. I think he landed like one good elbow. In the third round also, literally the best moment of the entire fight for Colby, he landed a tornado kick. It landed like 50% on the guard of Buckley, 50% on Buckley. But either way, Colby not landing any real strikes. And then he lands a tornado kick. Meanwhile, Buckley really in the second and third, mainly in the third, Buckley was just stinging him with a jab. I mean, he was snapping his head back like 3, 4, 5 times in the third round with a nasty stiff jab, which was also exasperating the damage on Colby's eyebrow. But the doctor waves it off. She said she's seen enough. There's too much blood. She didn't even look like she wanted to be in there. I don't know why they have her hired. She's scared of blood. She was worried about the blood. Big Dan's like, you don't even want to wipe it off and look at it. By the way, it didn't look like it had been much more damaged than it was at the end of the second round. So while I didn't necessarily agree with the stoppage, I found the stoppage a bit annoying. I think it robbed Buckley of a KO, to be quite honest. I understood it to a certain extent. Either way, I'll say what I said after Nate Diaz versus Jorge Masvidal, which I didn't have a channel for, but I was actually there live. The crowd was disappointed. I was disappointed for the first 10 seconds afterwards, but I said, look, I saw all I needed to see. And that's what I have to say about this fight. I saw all I needed to see. Buckley was going to smoke him. Colby had no chance unless Buckley completely gassed out. I don't think that was going to happen because Colby, he had this fight on short notice, and also he was getting ripped to the body nonstop. He was starting to slow down. And I know the narrative is going to be that Colby's old, he's washed up, he's slow. I think that's taken away from Joaquin Buckley, to be quite honest. And I understand Colby has diminished a bit. I don't think he was ever that good. This dude's been riding the coattails of having close title performances, losing to Kamaru Usman. The biggest accomplishment of Colby's career is having competitive fights with Kamaru Usman in title fights. Colby is essentially a walking participation trophy. And, you know, while I do think he's regressed over the years, he's getting older, he's in his late 30s, I just don't think he was ever really that good. His striking's always been ass. He just matched up well with Kamaru Usman, who happened to be the champion and one of the greatest welterweights. And I know that sounds crazy, but you look at Colby's resume, and it's not that far-fetched. Jorge Masvidal's his last win, UFC 272, March of 2022. Jorge was old, retired, on his way out, basically. Tyron Woodley, same thing. I mean, Tyron Woodley was one fight away from getting KO'd by a YouTuber. Last win before that, and I'm going just through wins, not the losses. Robbie Lawler, almost 40 years old, on a losing streak. The last good win was against Dos Anjos in 2018. We're talking 6 years ago. And Dos Anjos never belonged at welterweight. He's a career lightweight. He belonged at lightweight. So, like, honestly, Colby's entire career is basically just his mouth and people overrating him and overhyping him. And I think, at least, one compliment I can pay to Colby, at least he came to fight tonight. He rushed forward. He threw sloppy combinations. He looked for takedowns. He didn't even do that against Leon Edwards. He completely shit the bed, refused to fight against Leon Edwards after talking all that crap. In this fight, at least he tried to fight. But there's no doubt in my mind he wanted the fight to be stopped. Even Dana White said as much in the post-fight that, look, I don't think Colby was mad that it got stopped because he wanted it to be stopped. He thought it was a good, easy out. He was on his way to getting brutally KO'd. But at the end of the day, I don't think it's because Colby's washed up. I just think it's because Buckley's a lot better. I think Buckley's a lot better than Colby Covington. Colby Covington has used his pace to weaponize it against old dudes on losing streak, close to 40-year-old dudes on losing streaks. And I'll tell you this right now, Colby better be counting his blessings every day that he ducked Ian Machado Gary like his life depended on it. Because I'll tell you right now, after watching that performance tonight, I think Gary would have put him in a body bag. I think he would have starched him badly. I think he would have KO'd him. I mean, go back and watch the highlights of Gary finishing Kenan Song and say what you will. He got dropped and he recovered from adversity in that fight. I think Gary would have not only had a highlight reel finish, I think it would have been one of those highlights that is in his package for the rest of his career. And after Colby talking all that crap about him and his family, I just think it would have been a really bad look for Colby. So honestly, he better be happy that he avoided that fight badly. I mean, he ducked it like his life depended on it. And to be honest, I think Colby should hang up the gloves because you look at the welterweight division right now, who's he beaten? I mean, Bilal would absolutely destroy him. Shavkat would absolutely destroy him. Kamaru Usman, he was in the crowd tonight. I think he was hoping for a trilogy, to be quite honest. Because these old guys don't want to fight these new up-and-comers. Jack Della Maddalena, does he have a chance against? Because Jack Della Maddalena's grappling is kind of subpar. Yeah, but I think Jack Della just absolutely wrecks him on the feet. Sean Brady beats him unless he gasses out. Ian Machado Gary beats him. Gilbert Burns beats him. Joaquin Buckley just did beat him. Jeff Neal beats him. The only chance Colby has is Wonderboy. And maybe they'll give him Wonderboy. Maybe they'll toss him Wonderboy's carcass. And even then, I think he could lose to Wonderboy. Michael Morales, 12. I think Michael Morales beats Colby. Carlos Prates beats him. Vicente Luque, okay, maybe he can beat Vicente Luque. I don't even know. Michael Venom Page, he would beat Michael Venom Page because he has no grappling. But even then, that's not a guarantee because Colby's getting older, and he's just, his striking is garbage and it's never been good. And it's only fitting that Chael Sonnen, the con man Chael Sonnen, was in his corner tonight. And what's hilarious is Chael can never shut his mouth. This guy is a guy who runs his mouth for ad revenue 24/7. He makes videos, basically clickbait videos, running on with nonsense, just to kind of waste your time and try to collect ad revenue. And he pumps out, 25 videos a day with, it's an 8-minute video with a sponsor, with 2 ads, a sponsor, this and that, go buy this and that, whatever it may be. I don't even know what his sponsors would be nowadays. I haven't watched in years. And this is a guy who Chael Sonnen has ridden the coattails of coming close to winning a title. Having a close fight with Anderson Silva where he won the majority of the fight. Actually, it wasn't a close fight. Chael won the majority of it, and then he got subbed in the 5th round. And then he finally got the rematch years later because he failed a drug test after that, and he got absolutely demolished. And Chael Sonnen is only remembered for his mouth. Okay, even the Bisping fight he won to get a rematch with Anderson Silva was a robbery. Most people thought Bisping won that fight, okay? So Chael Sonnen's in his corner tonight. This is a dude who can't ever shut his mouth. Again, 25 videos a day on YouTube. Basically a failing talking head for the UFC because now he's so far detached from his UFC career, a lot of the fans nowadays don't really even know who Chael is. He's not relevant to them. He's basically a dinosaur to them in the MMA community because they're like, oh, I've never seen him fight. And this guy is in Colby's corner. By the way, Colby had a walkout with Hulk Hogan and Chael Sonnen. Talk about the biggest clown show you'll ever see right there. And Chael's in the corner. This dude never does anything but run his mouth 24/7. Talks about Francis Ngannou fumbling the bag, UFC talking head, got Dana White's dick down his throat. Anyway, they showed Chael for about a minute in the corner of Colby, I believe in the 2nd round. Dude was dead silent. He didn't even have any corner advice. He saw Buckley. I mean, Buckley's entire strategy was sprawl and just rush forward and just beat on Colby. Colby was a punching bag tonight. Colby was a heavy bag tonight against Buckley. And Chael just sat there and was like, you guys seeing this? You guys seeing this? But this is what happens, man. This is what happens when your entire career is ridden off the coattails of being elevated off of a loss. And that's what happened with Colby. He got elevated for losing to Kamaru Usman, and people acted like, oh, he must be as good as Kamaru Usman. No, he matched up well with Kamaru Usman. Again, I think he loses to the entire top 15 outside of Wonderboy and MVP. Maybe Luque. I think Jeff Neal would murk Colby Covington. So who do you even match him up with next? I think they're going to give him Wonderboy. That's like a layup gift, and maybe Wonderboy looks at Colby and like, maybe I can take this fight. But it's just hilarious because it's so symbolic that he has Chael Sonnen, the con man, in his corner because they're one and the same. And I told you guys, I've been telling you guys for literally 3 years since I started my channel, 3.5 years ago now, that Colby's dream is to try to transcend and make the move from MMA to online right-wing grifter political talking head. I think he'll be a failure at that as well. And I think tonight, while Dana White is at the post-fight saying, yeah, Colby's a dog, man. Colby's so tough. He's so durable. I think this is symbolically the end of his career. I mean, unless they try to find... I mean, they're basically going to have to book him against Wonderboy or MVP, which I don't even know if MVP is going to take that fight. He moved up to middleweight. He's fighting Sharabul Magomedov. But outside of that, let me know in the comments, is there anybody you guys favor him against? I certainly don't. You know what Bilal would do to him? You know what Bilal would do unspeakable things to Colby. It would be an absolute brutal beatdown. But this is what happens when you get elevated off of losses. After all these years of, hold me back, I want Hamzat. Hold me back, I want Shavkat. Hold me back, I want Ian Machado Gary. All these bluffs and, ducking all these fighters. It finally caught up with him because tonight the UFC forced him to fight Joaquin Buckley. They forced him. They pushed him. To quote Colby, Colby Covington was pushed into a fight with Joaquin Buckley. That's a direct quote from Colby Covington. And guess what? This matchup was horrific for him. Buckley's bigger, stronger. He's not a beta male soy boy like Colby. And Buckley has nasty power in his hands. And Buckley was going to KO him. There's no doubt in my mind Buckley was getting that finish. I'm actually kind of happy they stopped it in a way because I had 3rd round TKO. That was my official pick for this fight. And at the end of the day, could it have gone longer? Sure, it could have. But it is what it is. I didn't need to. The writing was on the wall. And I know there's probably like, 5 or 6 Colby stands still out there saying, yeah, Colby he had him right where he wanted. I don't think he would have gassed Buckley out. I think Buckley was just working on the body of Colby, beating him up. At one point, he had his back, was landing back shots dead. And I don't think Colby was going to have the cardio, especially coming in on short notice. And, Buckley was robbed of that finish. I think he would have finished him in the 4th round for sure. I think he would have got a 4th round TKO. I think ultimately that was what it would have been without the doctor stoppage. But Buckley effectively ended the career of Colby Covington. But you know what I'd like to see? We talk about the top 15, and I'm sure Colby Covington's Dana White privilege will land him in a favorable matchup next. They'll be like, yeah, attaboy, he did us a solid. He took on Joaquin Buckley. He's a savage, just a little badass. I'm not talking about Jelly Bean now. This little badass stepped in on short notice against Buckley. But you know what I think? Ian Machado Gary's coming off a loss, most recently against Shavkat Rakhmonov. Colby Chaos Covington is coming off a loss against Buckley. You know what makes perfect sense in my opinion? Let's finally put closure to that drama, okay? Colby talked all that crap about Ian Machado Gary and his family. Let's see if Colby's got one last run in him. Let's see if he can beat Ian Machado Gary. And by the way, if Gary's still ranked below Colby when the new rankings come out later this week, that's a complete and utter embarrassment to the rankings. He needs to fall all the way down to like number 10. I don't think Colby should even be ahead of Jeff Neal. He should be right down at Wonderboy's dead carcass. But yeah, Buckley ended Colby's career tonight. He walked out with Hulk Hogan, Hulk Hogan's music. He looked like he didn't even want to be there. Chael looked like he didn't even want to be there. And I think also, you know what you can also attribute this to? Colby has made so many enemies over the years with his dumbass persona that I don't think he has a real training camp. I don't know who his training partners are. He's training with Chael Sonnen. What's he teaching him to do? Cross and uncross his legs. That's what Chael used to do in every video back in the day when I used to watch a little bit here and there. Is that what he's training him to do? Chael trained him to be a mouthpiece, essentially, and lose title fights in close capacity and ride the coattails of those. Because, think about it. All these dudes that he lost to outside of Leon Edwards, or all these dudes that he beat. I'm sorry, I misspoke there. Jorge Masvidal, Tyron Woodley, Robbie Lawler. Those are his 3 most recent wins. He's lost 4 out of his last 6. Got finished by Joaquin Buckley. Got dominated by Leon Edwards. And by the way, if Colby was really pushing the pace and actually trying to fight in that fight, he would have actually had a chance, which is crazy to me. He would have actually had a chance in that fight. Lost to Kamaru Usman. This dude lost 4 out of his last 6. His most recent wins are Masvidal and Lawler. His career's over. They're going to give him a layup fight in his next fight because he has Dana White privilege. But yeah, Buckley, I think he should fight Kamaru Usman next if Ian Machado Gary isn't fighting Kamaru Usman. But there's a lot of interesting matchups at welterweight, but it's really the changing of the guard. Because Buckley went out there, beat the brakes off of Colby. Colby's currently sitting at number 6, which is crazy to me. You could do Buckley against Brady. You could do Buckley against JDM. You could do Buckley against Usman. You could even do Buckley versus Leon Edwards. You know what? That's the fight I book. Leon Edwards versus Joaquin Buckley, UFC London, March of 2025. And then I would do Kamaru versus Ian Machado Gary. I know there's rumors that Usman versus JDM, maybe that ultimately comes to fruition in the February card. I don't know. Usman's definitely going to be pushing for that fight. Gary called it out as well because that's a favorable matchup to him, even though I still think he could potentially lose that fight. But yeah, I'd like to see him against Leon Edwards. Buckley deserves a big jump up for the beating he put on Colby. At the end of the day, Colby's been at the top of the division. If you agree with it or not, he's been at the top of the division. Buckley went out there and put a whooping of a lifetime on him. Had Chael Sonnen speechless on the sidelines, stuffed the takedowns, beat him up on the feet. Colby had nothing to offer. And Colby actually showed up to fight tonight. He didn't just shit his britches like they were going out of style. He actually tried to fight tonight. So I think you got to give Buckley some respect for this win, even though I know I'm kind of, theoretically I'm talking down Colby, so therefore I'm diminishing Buckley's win. I still think it was a quality win. Ultimately, I think Buckley would have lost to Gary if that fight would have happened. I think Buckley loses to Sean Brady. I think Buckley even potentially loses to Usman depending on how old he is when next time he fights. The Leon Edwards fight, I think, is competitive. I favor Leon Edwards in that fight, but the division is finally getting some turnover. You got Leon Edwards, who's not particularly old, Shavkat at the top, JDM, Sean Brady, Ian Machado Gary, and now Buckley is right in the mix. I'm really looking forward to the welterweight division. Ian Machado Gary, Shavkat Rakhmonov, Joaquin Buckley, have made the welterweight division great again, and as well as Bilal Muhammad, the UFC welterweight champion. Let me know what you guys thought of the main event down in the comments. Like the video. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel and have notifications on. I'll be dropping a UFC Tampa post-fight for the full card shortly, so make sure you keep an eye out for that, and I'll see you guys in the next video.